Morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Amazing. Amazing.
Loud. But that's because I just turned up my volume.
Okay, I'm glad. I mean, I am loud. I've got a big mouth. I'm quite a loud mouth. But as long as I'm not like, defying. Yeah, I know. But I also own it. Like if you know you have something, it's like, oh, oh, thank you. It's like, yeah, I know, thank you. Like it's like whatever. Like don't be humble about it. Be like, thanks for noticing.
To do that, I actually remember this is an interesting segue. I remember being, I don't know, like a teenager, probably 15 or 16, and going on some of my very first dates, and specifically probably 15 years old. And I remember getting compliments, and I mean, you're a teenager at that point, but getting compliments. I'm like, you got really nice legs. No, I don't. Shut up. Like, but like, yeah. but not doing it in like a flirting way, because that kind of sounded flirty, but more like fuck off. No. Mm-hmm. Like I don't believe you, kind of a thing. And it's it takes a long time, I think. I don't know if it's different between for females to males. I'm not sure if there's a major difference in that, or if it's like, guys take compliments better than women. I have no idea, but
well, I think that's definitely something that we can dive into in Rachel and Hiiro Getting Juicy After Dark.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brought up a bit of that, but absolutely. Are you wearing pants today?
I am wearing pants, actually. What kind of pants are you wearing?
For the first time today, it's funny because I actually typically wear jeans.
I'm wearing jeans.
Yeah, which are not even like super comfortable to sit here and talk necessarily, depending on how tight the jeans are. But today I'm wearing leggings, so I'm wearing very boring yoga leggings with I'm just putting my foot right into the camera.
I love that. It smells beautiful.
Doesn't it? Smell of it? They're clean, so that's...
Give it. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Foot fetish. There you go, everyone. Here's my foot. Yeah, very Canadian socks, though, hey?
From Roots, right?
Lumberjack socks. No, they're not.
Oh, they're from Mark's Work Warehouse.
They are!
I knew it.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. That's hilarious. Guess the Canadian sock brand.
So I'm guessing Mark's is a Canadian company. I don't know.
I would assume it is. Now it's Mark's. Not they rebranded Mark's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, because I've said this a few times on the show, but folks, I live in Vernon, and in Vernon, okay, yeah, we've got, like 45,000 people or something. We're pretty close to another major city, but the shopping here sucks balls. Like, it's really bad. Like, there's a couple of pretty cute little boutique-y shops for sure, but I hate to say, but like Mark's Work Warehouse. Mark's, like, I would go there to get some of my yoga stuff and that's actually where I got my leggings from. Oh, sorry, Lulu. You're in all the way in Kelowna. I'm not gonna drive that far, but
their loss. But I am wearing pants. I'm wearing fleece-lined denim from where I work at Doer, and I literally wear them every day and can practice and teach and go right to my job when I want to wear everything in one day.
I love that, actually. So are they like jeggings?
No, they're legitimately pants with a button and zipper, and they are fleece-lined. Oh, that's my sock now. They are fleece-lined.
I see. Okay.
So they insulate, but they don't take away stretch or mobility, and they have the gusset and the stitching and stuff to give it the durability.
Listen to this salesperson. I love it. Visit Hiiro at Doer.
It's an incredible company. So you know what? I'm proud to talk about it. It's an incredible company. I'm so happy to be working there.
Awesome. So today, well, first of all, because we didn't say this in our last episode, as if we need to remind you, everyone, but please, I hate saying it's so cheesy, because I was listening to even some of the stuff that my husband watches, and he watches a lot of car stuff and whatever. And, there's still those big burly guys are like, please subscribe and comment for my channel. But we kind of need to say that just because we want to keep doing this and we want to keep bringing you lovely content and growing and all that stuff. So
yeah, exactly. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, save. Everything that you could do through your social media platforms really goes a long way. And even if it might take you a single second of your time, it makes our mileage go even further.
And we really appreciate it. Like even this morning, or Hiiro will say to me, "Hey, so-and-so," like one person, like so-and-so just liked this. And I was like, cool. Like, I mean, we notice all those things, all those little tiny things, right? So, but without further ado, because I'm just looking at the clock right now, Hiiro, please introduce our guest, which will be hopping on any second.
Okay, so I gotta do this. This guest is someone that I am so proud to call my cousin. Once removed, actually, it's my mom's cousin. Which is an interesting side, and she will talk about that. But her name is Emily Kron, and Kron is actually the maiden name of my late grandmother who passed away about 12 years ago, and she was the one that was the Holocaust survivor from Lithuania.
Oh, so sorry. Is Emily her granddaughter? No.
Emily would be her. Okay, basically, it's my grandmother's brother's daughter, so her niece.
Jesus. Okay.
That makes sense. Niece. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, her niece. Yeah, it's her niece. And so Emily is just honestly such an incredible human being. She lives in Brooklyn, New York. She's from Manhattan. And I have been able to spend time with her usually once or twice a year, and we'll talk about that. So I'll leave her to kind of give that introduction. But her main background is in theater, performance, stage, film, TV, singing, dancing, production. Like she's a triple threat, in my opinion. She's a triple threat. But she definitely is focused on acting and script writing. She has been given awards and nominations for her independent films from the Tribeca Film Festival as of most recently. And it's just one of those things that when you see her, when she comes on, you'll see what I mean. It's kind of one of the things where I don't want to give too much away. I think because she's so close to my heart, it's something that I don't really want to gush about too much,
Hi, Mom. Mom, we're recording a podcast episode right this second. Like, can you hear her? You can. Okay, love you. Hi, Hiiro.
Hi, bye. Hi, bye.
Oh, that'd be so cute. I totally interrupted you.
So cute. But so anyways, so Emily is, I think, if I remember correctly, she's the first family member besides my mom, maybe my dad as well, that I actually came out to. When I realized how I could verbally understand what that meant. And she's just been the biggest supporter and the most similar. I find I love all my family and my cousins differently. But Emily is one of the people that I felt she's like my true sister. She's the other person in the family that I really feel understands, that gets me, that can relate to me without even have to open my mouth. We just see each other. And that's something really rare for anyone to find. And so the fact that I have that as a family member is something that I cherish for life. And most of my family, I mean, my first cousins are, of course, in a similar generation, like you and me. But my other family members are a lot older. So it's nice to know that I have family members, even if it's a few, especially like Emily, that I can lean on and that I have, knocking on my glass table, that I have in my life for 50, 60 years. Like I have her, like that's family. I have that, unconditional family. And then same with my cousins in Toronto, I have them as well. The connection that Emily and I have, I think, because of our backgrounds and our personality types and just how we might have grown up, there was just a synchronicity. And it started to really present itself when we were probably, if I'm 28, I think she's in her early 30s.
I think she's closer to my age, but I could be wrong. But
yeah. Well, actually, I'm trying to think because her brother Josh, who I'm actually seeing later today, actually, which is awesome. They're dual citizens, right? Because of Canadian, and then my my mom's uncle, so my uncle once with Leo, he went to New York for school and stayed, and then he got married to my Aunt Jill. So that's why they're dual, because they have Canadian and American citizenship. So Josh is actually here in Vancouver right now doing school, and so that's why I'm seeing him later, because I actually have one half of my cousins here, which is really unique.
I love you, USA. Like, I would travel to you all the time, and I really fucking feel for you right now, for sure. But
no kidding,
you need to have that dual citizenship right now.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
But I looked up your cousin, and just before we hopped on, she is fucking talented. Holy Toledo. And she has I guess, for a lack of better word, she's got a band too. She's got videos, and so talented. Like, and I love it because she's got everything from, like, she can go one way, which is like hardcore comedy, and like she does skit comedy, which is bloody hilarious, and she'll highlight that on her socials, specifically what I've seen on Instagram. And then with like her music, this music video that is very touching and very much more, a little bit more subdued and more dramatic, and like she's just got the full, and then like you said, triple threat, like singing and acting and writing, and I mean, like, crazy. And dance.
Yeah, and she's definitely getting much more recognized now in the last year, I would say. Oh, excuse me. The Jewish hork. But no, like, she's definitely getting more recognized by larger platforms and doing pitches and stuff to bigger production companies, film and TV. I don't know much about that, of course, because it's private, understandably, you know, like, you got to be careful with things like that. But she is getting more exposure and getting more visibility for her talent. And she was actually, I should talk about this, but she went to Middlebury College in Vermont, which is one of the top 20 schools for performance and theater in the world, I believe.
Really?
And she graduated from there with, I want to say, with distinction. We'll let her talk about that, but she graduated with a high praise, and she's been in many, many, many off-Broadway productions of, like, The Spelling Bee, I can remember, Cabaret, a couple other shows as well. Sweet Charity.
There she is.
Hi.
Hello, cousin. How are you?
My gosh. I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Oh my God, it's so nice to see you. Oh my God, it's been way too long. Oh, air hugs. Oh my God.
It's so sad.
It's so fucking sad.
You know what?
So fucking sad.
I was just saying, actually, last night, that I feel like we're gonna need some major support groups for reintegration.
Yeah.
Like, there's a thing I think that's going to start to happen where there will be legitimate, like, therapy as to how the fuck do you reintegrate? Because people, like, oh my God, like, mental health is one thing throughout this pandemic, but like, to actually now reintegrate into society and kind of totally.
I know. It's so true. Reintegrate and, like, take it slow in terms of, like, socializing. How do we talk to people? How do we socialize? That is something that's rusty for sure.
Right. I know. They gotta change lyrics of Sexual Healing and just social healing.
Again.
that Emily, it's so nice to meet you.
Likewise.
And you're more than a triple threat. I was just on your website, and I was also watching one of your music videos. I think it was
fun.
Oh gosh, what was the one with all the lovely people, and it's quite heartwarming, and
Beautiful Life.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Like, I'm just blown away by your talent. So, and it's no wonder that you live where you live, because there's just so many talented people where you are. So how are you?
I'm pretty great. I mean, 2020 was, like, so strange and weirdly, like, really wonderful for me in terms of creative work and which is just work for me. So it was sort of like it had a big silver lining. That's another thing that I've been realizing is like people did get something out of this year. I mean, that's it manifested differently for everyone, but there was, I think for a lot of people that I've spoken to, there were these little moments, those little nuggets of like wisdom or experience or opportunity. And for me, yeah, it was a pretty cool year in terms of work. So I'm doing okay. I actually just literally pressed submit on a project like 5 minutes ago.
Exciting.
I'm drinking wine. Just kidding. This is coffee.
Oh my God. If you have wine in there, I don't blame you at all.
I don't. But this is my second large. So this is like, I've had like, I think 5 cups is probably what it is. There you go.
Amazing. Me and every day.
But it's afternoon where you are. So
true. Yeah, you're 3 hours ahead. You're in the future. You're in the afternoon already.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the future.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Interesting because just because maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but your main form of your medium, so to speak, was like live stuff, no? For a while.
Yeah, I've been transitioning into more like film, digital media, TV, a lot of writing, some producing. And that's not stuff you always see because it's not, it's behind the scenes, behind the camera. So yeah, more of that. And that's actually what I went into 2020 wanting to do more of anyway. And so it kind of forced that because, right, live performance and live art was, put on pause. So that was part of the like silver lining. It sort of like, I was forced to cut away the fat that I was hoping to anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm an actor in terms of, my origins, but definitely in the past, like, I would say probably 3 years, maybe more, I only wanted to take acting opportunities if they like helped support the other, like the writing and the other things that I wanted to do sort of more long-term. So it's been sort of an evolution, but I love doing it if it's like a role that I really like or think is funny. Otherwise I'm not really a true actor because real actors, that's what they do. They'll do it no matter what till the day they die. And that's just not me. So to answer your question, what I've been doing is I've been in development for a big project, and that is something that we've been able to do in this time because it's meetings on Zoom, it's writing, it's pitching, it's talking, no, we haven't. I went on set for all of the fall, but basically it's been development. So that's been cool. Yeah, that's been really cool. But of course, like it's been sad to see my peers and colleagues like not be able to do what they do. That's been hard.
Well, and you're so close to Broadway, and so that's
yes. That was crazy, and it remains to be really wild.
Is there any talk of a timeline or?
Last I read was like the spring, like this May or June of 2021. I don't know. That seems soon. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. I've also like lost touch with time and space, so I don't even know what day it is. I don't know what my name is. I don't know where I am. I'm like, we're all floating through the ether. I have no idea.
Absolutely. It's yesterday, today, tomorrow, and if tomorrow doesn't even exist yet, so it's just like
why,
today.
And, right. And my recent discovery is like, why do we have names for days? Like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't really know, but I will say that I have a lot of really good friends who worked on Broadway, where theater really was their full-time life, and they were left, you're left out to dry. So
yeah,
hopefully in the near future. It's also just like such a huge part of New York City that it's pretty wild that it's,
yes,
on hiatus, but
yeah,
it'll be nice to be back in that space when possible.
Absolutely. And on that note, considering actually New York is one of the few cities I've actually been to, and Brooklyn I've been to once and went to your apartment, so I don't know Brooklyn at all. What's the street traffic been like? What's the actual movement of the city? Because that's a city that relies on everyday movement and engagement and stimulation. And has that changed at all, or no?
Yeah, it is definitely, yes, it is definitely quieter for sure. It's a lot less bustling. I mean, I don't really spend very much time in Manhattan. I've been there a little bit to see my parents and to do some things here and there. But I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious to see, without actually going there, to see what like Midtown is like in Manhattan.
Right.
I have no idea. But certainly less traffic, less foot traffic, fewer people. There's been a great exodus. I mean, a lot of people left definitely in, spring of last year when we had the surge here. It was a ghost town. And I think just in general, like, yeah, it's that energy is not quite the same because it can't be. So
no,
it's different. Yeah.
Have you lived in Canada before?
No, I have never. I like grew up going there when I was a kid. We went there like 3 times a year.
It's a good segue.
Yeah, and then in later years, like once a year. So I've been a million times. I'm a Canadian citizen.
That's and Hiiro told me that, and that's why I was curious because
yeah. So maybe I'll live there at some point.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I mean, things are not looking very good over here in this country. So who knows?
I know. I'm surprised. I mean, I haven't been paying attention, but there must be a lot of dual citizens that maybe just flocked to Canada pretty early on. I have no idea if there's like statistics with that, but
yeah, I feel like probably if anyone is smart, then that's probably what they did. Yeah.
I'm kidding. But like seriously though, on that side note, before you digress back to the past, yeah, definitely please move here. And I've got my apartment and you've been in my apartment. You know how much space I have. Seriously, you always have a bed for sure.
So sweet. See you in 7 hours.
Oh my God, please fucking come. I swear to God, Hollywood North needs you.
And that's the interesting thing too, because like, as you just said, Hollywood North with Vancouver, like I know there's a lot of production happening in Canada now and seeing, you know, we do follow even on Instagram that are just like actors and whatnot. And they're like, yep, so I'm in Canada now. I'm quarantining for weeks and I'm on this show or that show and we're getting going. So maybe it's happening more here than it is in the States.
Yeah. Yes, totally. A good friend of mine has been in Vancouver shooting a show. Tons of TV and film are there. Yeah, it's curious to know, like, interestingly enough, it still doesn't always mean that the creative work is there. Like, it often means that, like, the writer's room is still in Los Angeles or still in New York, but the production is there. So it kind of depends on the show.
True. And the medium that you're producing into. Right.
But yeah, I'm interested in also just like Vancouver is just such a beautiful place. It's so different from New York. Like yeah. So it's I'm compelled. I'm very compelled.
I actually do think you would thrive in Vancouver because it is such a small city and Vancouver loves people that come from somewhere else. I just have noticed that they're like, oh, new flavor, ooh, new this, ooh, new that. Oh, and they've got social skills and oh, they're not afraid. Oh, they're not shy. Oh, look at that. Oh, they can do everything. Oh, let's take advantage of them, like.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
Just as expensive as New York. So you would fit right in there.
Oh my God. Is it really?
Yeah, but I would say Rachel, wouldn't you say that Vancouver is slightly more accessible than New York or no?
More accessible? You mean
like financially?
Oh man, I don't know with what the statistics are. Maybe slightly, but Vancouver was voted like one of the most inaccessible as far as financially goes to live. I don't know if it was the world, but it was fucking up there, man.
I muted myself because there's a fire engine outside.
Oh, that's what that was. I was like, that doesn't sound like Zelly, your dog. That does not sound like him.
Fire engine. I didn't hear you. Hold on 1 second while this passes. There we go. Hi. Yes.
Hi.
I want to know more about because you grew up with Hiiro, obviously being cousins, and I want to know about, how did Emily get to where she is now? Like, how did you get to wanting to do what you're doing and being so creative? Did you grow up in a very creative family where this was?
Yeah. Yes. No. I mean, yes, no, yes. No. I mean, my parents are not creatives. They're creative. They're very creative thinkers. You know, they're like New York hip, like, I mean, I don't know if they would call themselves this, but I see them as, you know, sort of that classic New York hippie-ish. Like they're both therapists. They've been living in New York forever. They have been in the Village and since they met, which was in the 70s. Like they're, you know,
Cool.
So meaning, I think that, and they're big patrons of the arts. They love the arts. So I was definitely, you know, immersed in that world as a young person, and went to see a lot of theater and dance, and loved theater and loved movies. I watched it probably way too much, like TV and movies as a kid. There was no kind of like, there were no rules. I have to pick a bone with them. But so I was very, it surrounds you. It definitely surrounds you here. And as a kid, I started performing and I started singing as a pretty young kid. I did voice lessons really young, and started training in that regard. And my voice teacher from a really young age was this woman, Marnie Nixon, who's no longer alive. But she was this incredible singer and teacher and sweet, sweet person. And she was really well known in the field because Solly boy. Wow, really big dick over there. You got a big dick, Solly?
That's going to give everyone heart attacks who's listening. I'm
so sorry. Whenever he barks like that, I'm like, oh, someone's got a big dick. Wow. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's really nice of you. I'm okay though. Oh god. So it's Marnie. So Marnie was the voice behind the stars. She was the singer. She was the voice for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady, and Deborah Carr in The King and I, and Natalie Wood in West Side Story. Like all these iconic performances. Wow. She was the singer behind these stars. She had this fascinating story, and I just love sharing that because she was such an amazing individual. But so I was doing that a lot as a kid, and theater, and just kept doing it throughout middle school and high school, and remained really academic as well in high school. And so I didn't end up going to a conservatory for college. I went to just a liberal arts school where I could still do kind of everything, which ends up being I think an important choice in reflecting on what my life looks like now, which is a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So I did study theater, and I studied psychology, and I did a lot of I did film projects, and started getting my feet wet in that terrain. And then out of college, I definitely knew that if I wanted to try acting in a significant way, you do kind of have to focus on it. So I did that for a little bit, and had some of the most spectacular times of my life being on stage and doing theater projects and going to different cities and doing shows. I mean, truly the most fun there is to meet a group of people that you spend anywhere from 2 to 6 months with. Being in this family, being so close, creating something together, and then, it's really magic. With that said, it didn't sustain my creative. I wanted to create my own content, essentially. That's really what I've always wanted to do, which is where the directing and the writing and stuff has come in.
I find that it's interesting because my parents actually were musical theater performers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I grew up in it's funny because when you said you had no rules or no, it's oh, she could just watch TV till her eyes just fall off, or her head. It was kind of similar in that respect. But what I'm at is my mom, and I love you, Mom. Sorry if I'm like giving too much information here, but I think it's okay. My mom, after a while, was kind of like, okay, like this is what I love to do, but it's not going to pay the bills. It's not family. So she went to do some, other kind of work, which she does now, which has had nothing to do with the arts or anything like that. Whereas my dad kept just trying and trying and trying, and he kept doing that and wanted to be an actor, and instead of being on the stage, he wanted to get in more film and TV. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is you talked about doing some schooling in psychology. Was that like a fallback plan, or was there any kind of idea that that you knew that being in the arts it's hard? I mean, it's fucking hard. It's like they always talk about the starving artist, right? So was that something that you ever thought about, or?
Not then. The psychology thing in school was very much like I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I very much like could have done that, definitely as an adult, I've had a lot of moments of like, what are the other possibilities? Are there any? And there aren't really for me. I mean, there are in terms of like the other aspects of this of the sort of the entertainment industry, right? Like I mentioned, I'm no longer like an actor track, but it's still hard to be all the other things.
Right.
I think at this point, like this is my world. If I do something, it's not going to be a 180. It's just like it's very unlikely. With that said, I have thought about being a therapist because it is definitely something that's like in my veins and comes naturally and is very interesting and has the psychology element to it. But yeah, I would say it's unlikely that I'm leaving the path at this point. Yeah.
I think it's like, it's good because you have so many facets of, it's not like you just got the one thing. Whereas I think with my family, like there was kind of like, this is the one thing I want to do. And I don't want to compromise that or, get
right.
Thing. But like, we've been talking to a few people, like, I'm going to bring up Jay again, but Jay Rodriguez, who is one of the original Queer Eye guys, and he's a performer. And I was just thinking about like, all those people that are the starving artist thing is really happening a lot again, like more than ever, I think, for people. So it's pretty cool that you have, other things that you're doing it's just like serendipitous how that's for you. It's amazing.
Totally. Yeah, it has. And it wasn't like hard. I wasn't like, oh, I wonder how I'm going to, it was very organic to sort of integrate the other things. I will say that like collaboration is key. I don't work alone, I really don't. Like, of course you write in a vacuum to a certain degree, but I have people that I work with. I have one of my main creative partners is like a huge part of everything that I do. And that's huge. I mean, having someone that cares about something as much as you do is, not only is it beautiful and like have such great value, it's essential.
It is.
Otherwise you are, I mean, for me, right? Not for everyone, but for me it is, because I don't want to be like the only one who cares about something, especially something that's fiction. Because fiction is like, I don't know.
No, it's true. It's totally true though, because you even talk about like collaboration. When you have collaboration, you have accountability, and when it's on your own, you really have to be your own motivator, and you have no one checking you or evaluating you except for your audience, which is also honestly the most important part. But at the same time, it's not necessarily, because you know the intent behind your production and creative vision. So if you have someone that's creating with you and you both keep each other accountable, then even if it doesn't relate to everybody, at least you know that you got the relation that you were wanting to have. You got the product that you wanted to produce, right? And our podcast is a good example. Like, I couldn't do this without Rachel, and she sure couldn't do it without me. We couldn't do it without each other.
Yeah.
No, yes, it's true. No, absolutely. Because we have different strengths too, right? So that's where,
exactly.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say as well, kind of as a segue of psychology, is that psychology is just a life skill. And, you know, I've been in therapy for over 20 years just based on how fucked up I am, and I wanted to get better. But in terms of going into acting and people development, psychology is like the perfect backbone of acting and character study anyway. So you can apply that to everything as a transferable skill. Everyone should have a yoga teacher training, not a basic bitch teacher training, and a psychology background if they have an academic bone in their body. Those are life skills.
I love that. Yeah.
Totally. And you provided that as a segue into one of your more recent kind of mini series that you did, which was Blush Golden, the Insta Life Coach, which is hilarious. So fucking funny. And also, I just felt like you were playing yourself just a little bit more, you know, zhuzhed up. It wasn't like that much of a stretch, which is what's even more authentic.
Oh my God, I love that. I did some of those.
Yeah, that was so fun. That was so, yeah, that was so stupid. I love stupid. I love being stupid. You know, it's so, what was interesting about that project was I actually made that last in 2019. Yeah, the fall of 2019 is when we shot all of those. I had a comedy platform reach out to me and ask me to do it. They gave me like a little bit of money to make 10, which is a lot.
Wow.
I know. And I was like, that's a lot of work. But I thought I wanted to do it. I wanted to do this character anyway. So yeah. I thought that whatever, at least it won't be my own money. So it was really fun to get to kind of actually release them in 2020 because it was such a dark time that it was fun to just like get to share stuff that had nothing to do with the global pandemic or the state of our nation or any of the other dark chaos that was circling us. So
no kidding.
It was fun, and so I'm submitting that to like web series festivals and stuff. They're probably not really. A good friend of mine, actually my friend who plays Cosmo, the gay assistant. Yes. He texted me yesterday and he was like, what do you think about like developing this into a further series? And I was like, probably not. But it'll be fun if it gets into some festivals and we can just sort of like, because it's all about really like expanding network and meeting more people that are doing what you're doing. And
Totally. And so, Rachel, I love how you've been very like inquiring about Emily and her background and stuff. And so going further into that, I thought it'd be interesting before we kind of take a step back to the past and then back to the present, a little bit more in depth about, again, like I know you went to Middlebury. I don't know anything about Middlebury, except that I think it's one of the top 20 colleges in the States for the performing arts. Is that correct? Or in the world?
It's definitely one of the top somethings or others. It's a very, very good school. Yeah.
And so leading into that, I remember actually like taking it back. Some of the more recent memories I have is that I remember we were in your bedroom and you were packing to go to Paris. And I think this might have been I think it was your gap year, I think, in Middlebury, you were going to Paris. Is that? And then that's when you really started to get into further, and you were with the Mama Jamas, you had like another band, and then Emma and the Fates. So you kind of had some little stories between the singing, acting, dancing. And I'm curious to kind of know the stuff that I don't know, but some of the other stuff that you've experienced in productions and stage theater and the steps that got you to kind of where you're talking about more recently, like right now.
Yeah. So what's the question?
Basically kind of like taking it back a little bit in terms of where you began to get to where you are now. Like you talked about school, you talked about the stage and theater. What are some of the things that you actually did?
Right. Okay. Totally. So I love that you referenced that memory. Oh my God, how special, how cool, what a moment. Before I went to Paris, how fascinating. Yes, that was in 2008. Wow, holy moly. That was so cool. I did, right. So I in college, I did a lot of theater and was in an a cappella group. Nice. The Mama Dramas. It was so fun. Such a family. Actually, really great. Two of the Mama Dramas, Casey and Catherine, are the other two female singers in my band.
Oh wow!
They're my backup singers, and the three of us do these really rich 3-part harmonies, and that's a
Emma and the Fates. Follow them on Instagram. Emma and the Fates.
And the Fates. Emma and the Fates. Yeah, I mean, listen, Emma and the Fates. We haven't seen the band in a year. Yeah, we've done, not almost a year, we've done some quarantine recordings and stuff like that, and we're about to release another single. And really cool, there's a New York Film Academy is doing a film musical, and they asked us to do the music for the musical. So like it's them and the Fates music. Like Beautiful Life is in the story and the context of the narrative. And yeah, it's neat. It's really cool. So I am working with them remotely.
Great.
Yes. But yeah, to backtrack a little bit. So yeah, I think that I knew, I loved singing. I knew I loved performing. And then I didn't really start, and I knew I loved writing. Like I wrote plays and I wrote scenes, and I was involved in writing, directing in college, but I didn't take that to the next level until probably like 4 years out of college, where I started writing my own music for the band, created the band, which really came out of like a one-woman kind of cabaret show that I did for a while, where I did really fun arrangements of songs, did cover songs. And out of that, I was like, oh, I'm sort of experiencing what it's like to rewrite a song that's already in existence, and just had inspiration there to write my own music in this style of this sort of like old school, like pop rock, full band, very like bright, good feeling kind of music. But also with like a little bit of a subverted content. Yeah. And so that's how I'm in the Fates was born. And it, for a while, was like kind of the forefront of my creative juice. And then kind of like, with that said, I always knew that I wasn't like trying to be like a pop star. I was wanting to play with shows a lot with that group of people and write with them. But it was always kind of like another love. And yeah, and then I would say that, I worked in the acting stuff. Like I worked with, an agent and a manager for a while, did a lot of really amazing roles in musical theater. Rachel, I'm sure your parents would know some of the wild shows.
I might too.
Yeah, I did. Let's see, like I was in Cabaret. I was in Sweeney Todd. I was in Into the Woods. I was in,
Into the Woods is one of my favorite musicals. I don't know what it is, but there's
Me too.
Gorgeous songs. Anyway, and who did you play in Into the Woods?
I was Little Red.
Really?
Yeah, I was like a sort of like obnoxious, like sassy Little Red.
Yes.
It was really fun. It was the best. And again, I'll say like my friend Michael, who played Cosmo and Insta Life Coach, was in that production of Into the Woods. And that is to say, like, every show just brings all of these people who remain, some of whom remain just huge fixtures in your life forever. So it's really a beautiful thing. So yeah, just like a ton of wonderful productions. And all the while, like, doing the audition life, which is, for some, nice. For me, not so much. Not even because it was so the rejection and stuff, like, I could handle. And actually, I'm so grateful for now, because now rejection is like, it doesn't matter to me, which is amazing, because it really allows you to like dive in full throttle to something and really just like, not the rejection doesn't matter. It hurts if you want something really bad, of course, and you get a no, but acting, just like, it's the most vulnerable thing you can do, is stand in a room and sing for people, or try to be good for people, or try to be good for yourself and them. So it's given me some enormous life skills. But in any event, I felt like, this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about like what made me integrate more of the creative work, like the creator work rather, was that as an actor, I always felt limited by my lack of being able to like actively contribute. It was a very passive role for me. Yeah. When you're in a show or on stage or in a movie or on whatever, that's different. But the lifestyle of like auditioning and like waiting for someone to tell you what to do, it just wasn't really, that's not where I feel comfortable in like the lineup. So, yeah, I feel, especially as I got older, I just felt more comfortable like calling the shots on a set, or like writing the words that people were saying, or helping to direct, or helping to produce, or helping to cultivate someone's vision, even if it's not mine. But there's something about the audition life that like, it felt a little too boring, honestly. So yeah, so somewhere I would say like maybe like 2013, or I think it was 2013 or 14, I made my first, decline. That's Lucy, my best friend, FaceTiming me anytime she wants. Hiiro knows Lucy. What was I saying?
You're talking about 2013 and then creating your own content.
That's right. That was the first time that I remember I did a sketch called Galmance.
Yes.
With my friend Autumn, and it was just like us making fun of ourselves, essentially.
Yeah. And
that was just like, I don't know, it got picked up by like some fun online women in comedy platform, and I just had so much fun doing that. I had more fun doing that than like kind of many of the other things that I'd done acting wise. And that sort of was the spark of the more like creator content stuff.
Yeah.
And since then I've done a lot of, like sketch comedy, a lot of writing, TV writing, film writing, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing that I'm in development for now is a TV show that is based on the project that premiered at Tribeca Film Festival in 2020. So
cool.
Yeah. So that was sort of like a vomit, but I think
it's perfect. It's perfect. And I can also say, like, I feel like it's funny I can say, like, I knew you when, but no, because we're family, which is even more special to say that. It's like, no, I've known you forever. But no, I remember when my mom and I were in Manhattan. I haven't been in New York probably for 5-6 years, so it's been a while already. It was actually for Thanksgiving. That's when I went, remember? Yeah.
You're right. That's right.
But a couple trips before that, we saw you in Spelling Bee. And I think that might have been the first time I saw you in live theater, I believe, other than your bat mitzvah. But I think we have to talk about that. That's a good story that you can share. Sure. But I remember seeing you in Spelling Bee and just looking at you with awe and admiration, because I think it was the first time I saw you that was not in like, all the freaking every minute of your life that your parents always continued to film you and your family about, because your parents love to video record you guys every minute, which I wish my family did too. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But I remember seeing you in Spelling Bee, and I was like, that's my cousin. Like that's my sister right there. Like, I am so proud of her, like I would only wish I could be like her, and now I do that in my own way. But, at that point, like, those are prolific moments. You see people that are living their life, living their dream, the craft. And that was fucking funny too, man. Like, you did such a great job in that production. Everyone did.
Thank you. Yeah, that was such a fun show. Oh my God. We still talk about that. That show I could have done forever and ever. There was so much improv, and it was such a blast. I'm so glad you got to see that. That's right. It was so fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. So good. I'm trying to think of it. And then I saw you. Well, I don't think this is you with M in the Face. I think this was you with a couple friends. But again, your friend, his name escapes me, but man, he was hot and he was really good in bed. But he was the owner of the West End Cafe.
Oh, right. Hold on. Hold the roll.
Oh my God. I was so pissed off that he and I couldn't turn into something more than what it was.
Well, I felt a little bit, I remember being like, oh no, am I a bad older cousin? I let Hiiro like run off with this guy. I don't even really, because I didn't know him super well. I just knew, I was like, I hope he's not a full like predatorial.
Right. Right. No, he wasn't.
I had to know that it was mutual.
So much on the screen. I'm like, what?
It was so funny because, I can't remember all the details, but really, really nice guy. And I'm totally fine to divulge this, but before I came to New York that time, there was a guy that was in my building, and we slept together, and he only wanted to have sex unprotected. And at that point I was very, very, very adamant of like not, but I caved in because I was like, oh my God, I just need that moment. We all have those moments where we just need to get laid. And so I was freaking out. And then the next day I was traveling to see Emily and my family. And then the entire trip, go figure, I'm seeing signs and signals everywhere about HIV positive testing, all these other things, and I'm freaking out. And my mother is going off and off and off and stuff, which any mother would. And I'm so want to not to wear my heart on my sleeve and just say, like, I did this, I did that, blah, blah, blah. And so I kept it to myself the entire time. And so on the very last day of that trip in New York, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember telling you this. And so I remember we were going through the intersection of Nolita and Chinatown. Wow, Hiiro. Chinatown.
Yeah.
And
Chinatown.
Yeah, Chinatown, whatever. And I remember there was this poster for a musical. My God, stop moving, fucking son. But yeah, there is this musical backdrop poster for some, I believe it was a Black musical, and it was about the cast, and the main character was living with HIV and AIDS, and about him coming out to his family or him hiding it. And I remember my mother actually stating that, man, I hope that never happens to you.
Oh, God.
And it was just the two of us. And I was like just freaking out because I didn't have a chance to get tested. I mean, like I had to get tested when I came back from Manhattan, right? And so then I go to this incredible show and I see this fucking hot man who seems like a total nice guy. I think he's from the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken. So he was really lovely. This is interesting. But anyways, so so after the show ended, like I said to Emily, like, oh my God, he's really cute. Like, should I? And so she's like, yeah, go for it, whatever. And so he was flirting with me a lot. I don't think Emily said anything at all. And then after the show ended, he's like, yeah, what are you doing after? Do you want to go? And people don't do that in Vancouver. Not that I really go out to those venues in Vancouver. It's always when you travel, you do things you normally wouldn't do at home. But I was so taken aback by like someone actually asking me out and wanting to pursue me, even if it was like a quick fling. No, yeah. So we went back to wherever he was, and we went to, he took me out for dinner, paid, was so lovely, went back to his place, talked for a bit. And then, of course, like we got to doing our thing. And then, of course, I let him, like, fuck me unprotected. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And so then, anyway, so I told my mom, I'm going to be home late. I know that we have to get up at 6 a.m. or whatever, 5 a.m. to get our flight back to Vancouver. So I get back at like 1:30 a.m. to your parents' place, Emily, and I'm there. And of course, my mom is like sleeping or whatever. And then she's like, hey, did you have a good time? Are you okay or whatever? And I think I was watching the finale of season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race at the time on the computer. And I just stayed up the whole night. And then I kind of like caved and told my mom. About what happened here in my place, and then what happened. And then, of course, understandably, she went very protective mother, and then let alone a Jewish mother on me, giving me all the Jewish guilt. And it was very traumatizing. And I told her everything that she was saying through the entire trip, I kept inside because I was afraid of scrutiny and judgment and all of her understandable protection of me as her son.
Wow.
So it's interesting that just came up when we were talking about that, but it was very interesting.
Yeah,
interesting aside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
It was. And when I came back, I got tested and I was negative. I was so relieved. Of course, I was relieved. But as an aside to that, I think that's a really great segue for not the rest of the discussion, but for while we are on that chat, and as my face is like the two-faced woman from Seinfeld, talking about kind of like our childhood a little bit, and kind of just how, because honestly, Emily, I don't remember when I first met you. Like, I feel like you've always been in my life. So that's what I find very interesting.
Well, yeah, totally. I have. Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between you and me? 6, 7 years? You're in your early 30s, right?
I'm 33.
And I'm turning 29 in 2 weeks. So yeah, 4 years. So not that much of a difference. It's Josh, who's my cousin, your older brother, who's in his 3 years older than you. He's 30. He just turned 37, I think.
He's 4 years older than me.
4 years older. Okay, yeah. So 37. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like, I mean, my earliest memory of Emily is definitely when Josh, her brother, my cousin, and then Leo and Jill, who are my aunt and uncle once removed. So my mom's aunt and uncle, actually, which is what's kind of confusing. Yeah. You guys would always come for Hanukkah usually, and if it was for Hanukkah, definitely for Passover. For Passover. That was. Yeah. And so I would always remember that we would always go, this is the tradition. I don't know how or why it started, but they would come in, we would meet at Earl's restaurant on Broadway and Fur on the corner there in the patio. We'd keep coming in, you know, when it was, and then after that, we would usually go to the beach or go somewhere and stuff. And then crazy family has to all figure out what the hell is going on, 15 people. And it would just be it's like, it never changes. And it's the most annoying, frustrating debacle in my life. And I've distanced myself intentionally because of it. But my point is, that's what the whole ordeal was. And then everyone's like, I don't know. And no one wants to make a fucking decision, but you know, just whatever, we go with the flow. We're Canadians, whatever. We're on vacation, you know, and it's like all the awkward tension. But we go to the beach, Stanley Park, get bikes or whatever, and then usually end up at dinner, usually at my aunt's place, or we would cycle through, and it would usually be like that, like my place, aunt's place, go for Chinese food at the same freaking restaurant on Sunday night, and then in between, it was kind of just like the Vancouver staples, right? And then chilling out at either of our houses for Shabbat dinner. That's my earliest memory.
Can we talk about for a second, because there was a lot there, Hiiro, but
Go figure.
We know each other very well. But what I want to get into is the Jewishness.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I mean, getting juicy, there's a commonality, but there's a commonality between the three of us. And then when you're talking about, like, you know, being indecisive, and there's all these characteristics or things that I can definitely attest to as well with my family. Is that a Jewish thing?
What a great question and such a good point, Rachel. I feel like yes. I don't know if it's a Jewish thing, but it feels, I think it is. It's just sort of like, oh, I don't know. We could do this or we could do that. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's the indecisive thing as much as it is like a thing of talking something, saying the same thing over and over and over.
Cute.
Oh my God, that's exactly like me with my mental health. Oh my God, is that a Jewish thing?
Yeah, it could be.
My husband needs to listen to this, because it's okay. So this is an interesting, could be an interesting segue. I married a non-Jew. I am ish. So, like, you know, it's my upbringing. My mom converted before I was born, but she came from more of a little bit of a Christian family. My parents aren't together anymore. But what I've been struggling with actually lately is being with a partner that is not Jewish, and then just realizing there's so many characteristics that I have that I can't really explain or get him to really get with, like, you know, either be mental health or like constantly having to question everything. He's like, how many fucking questions do you need to ask me about something? And I'm like,
4.
So 4, exactly. So, I don't know where I'm going with this. I think just, it's just nice to talk to people where you feel like there's,
You're not alone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
It's
true, because even if we're not religious, which I don't think any of us are, we're still Jewish. Like, culturally, we're Jewish. It is. I didn't really think much about that until kind of like the past few years of my life, where I was like, oh, it is important to connect with Jewish people. Not exclusively. I'm not like seeking them out. And yet when I find that, I'm like, oh yeah, we speak the same language. Like,
we totally do.
There is that thread. But yes, totally. So we did a lot of that, Hiiro. I love those memories. That resonates a lot. I mean, and to answer your question, like, or to reply, I remember you as a baby. Like, my first memories of you are, you know, I was 4 when you were a baby. So I remember you were just like so cute and so wild and so fun. And then like as a toddler and as like a young kid, you were so sweet and always like really excited when we came. And, you know, I remember just feeling like really loved, you know, really, really embraced every time I came. It was so, it was just so sweet and so fun. And like you said, the staples, like the Vancouver staples, that was going to Vancouver was a huge part of my childhood memory. Yeah, definitely Earls. I don't know why we were obsessed with Earls, but we were totally obsessed with Earls. It was also a matter of like, say it again?
Owned by a Jewish family? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't know. Probably not. I would assume no. I also remember, like, for me, my brother was always a like, where do we sleep at? Whose house are we sleeping over? Are we going to Nachmani's? Or are we going to the Prince's? Are we like, where, you know, there was a little bit of a like, who gets the New Yorkers kind of, you know, kids wanting everything vibe. But yeah, it was always really special. And again, to speak about the Jewish stuff, like we didn't celebrate anything. I mean, our Hanukkah was like a joke. No offense, Hanukkah. But ours was, at least, for sure. And so when we came to Vancouver for Passover, it was just was meaningful to a certain degree to get, you know, into that tradition. And it didn't necessarily make me like want to be a lot more Jewish than that, but it was really, really meaningful and remains really meaningful. I mean, we still go. We would have gone in April if if the virus hadn't happened. So yeah, it's lots of really special memories.
No, for sure.
When I think of if I think of Jewish in North America, the first place I think of is New York City.
Yes, totally.
So
Miami as well.
Miami? Okay. Okay.
Miami's very Jewish. Yep.
Why is that? Did a lot of Jews come from Europe mostly to New York? Do we know that? I'm just curious.
I don't know the history. All I know is that, yes, New York is just like is super Jewish. And that I remember I went to college in Vermont, Middlebury is in Vermont, and even a school like that, which is like a very, is a worldly institution. I remember going there, and the Jewish student population was like 2 or 3% or something.
Right.
And it was wild because I came from a place where like, a lot of people were Jewish, and even if they weren't Jewish, like being Jewish is just like in the culture. It's in the food. It's in the atmosphere. It's in the industry. It's like, so, it almost, New York is a beautiful, exciting place. And also it's a bubble. It fosters a certain kind of ignorance because you are not aware of what the rest of the country is like. New York is not America.
So
New York is not America. So it's there's a double-edged sword in like growing up in a place like that where you kind of have blinders on in terms of what other things look like because we're privileged to see so many different kinds of people.
Definitely. And a couple other memories that I want to make sure we get logged here, because I mean, there's so many things that could come up and then it's understandable. We might forget or not even think about them. But a couple of them, I was saying to Rachel briefly before we came on, you were actually the first, aside from my mom, and I would hope I came out to my dad before as well, but you were the first non-parent family member that I actually came out to. And I remember we were in Boos's old home. Boos was actually Ruta, but my eldest cousin, Tamara, when we were trying to say Bubby Ruth, she couldn't say those words, so she combined said Boos. So when we say Boos, that's why Boosie was my name of my grandmother. And we were actually in my mom's old bedroom in the house she grew up in. And I remember Emily usually would stay in my mom's old room. And so I remember us being on the bed, and I was saying to Emily, like, I wasn't uncomfortable by any means at all, but it was more like I've realized that's me, and I can actually put words to the thought, and I can understand what the concepts are and stuff. And I remember you just saying, of course, which is why I told you, like, I'm not faced, So that was one. That was a really special memory for me. So I can always cherish that, which is great.
How old were you, Hiiro?
12.
Sounds right.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was queer and gay my entire life, but as far as understanding the whole conceptual measures of it, it would have been around like starting at like 10 or 11, and then actually knowing when I was 12 when I tried to hump my best friend in my basement from elementary school, which is a fun story as well.
Oh, that's a good story.
Great. We love that. We love.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. That's a memory that you have, and I remember that too. And I'm so glad that we got to share that, and I got to and you confided in me, and that that's really really, really special.
And then flipping it on to more of a humorous note, too. I remember, I don't know if I might have shared this with you, Rachel, just like as friends and stuff, not in the podcast, but when we were, again, Passover, and the whole family was over in our old basement, and when we had our dog, hopefully, I don't know if Emily is going to remember what I'm talking about. And we had a gazelle. A gazelle was like a Shopping Channel QVC product where it was like a free open range elliptical machine without and so we had a dog named Chai, and so she was legitimately the most craziest bitch. And now that Emily, you have a dog, you can understand. She was the craziest bitch that was untrained and like a wildchaya, wild beast. And so she was going around and around and around in the basement because she was so excited and doing laps, and it was kind of like a square track that she could go around corner to corner. And so Emily was like going crazy on this free range elliptical that would go linear back and forth, kind of like a natural piston of a train. So she's like, whoa, 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 look at me, right? Doing like her own infomercial impersonation. And poor Chai beelines right, like T-bones right into the front swing motion of the machine, and she gets like face bashed. And nothing happened in terms of hurting her physical body, but she was so stunned and like traumatized that she like was like, the fuck? And so from there, she actually never went back in the basement until she got really old, and she knew she could go shit and throw up down there and stuff, and it was safe. But from that point, but I just remember, like, I wasn't pissed or angry, but it was just one of those, like, did that just happen?
Oh no, I remember that.
Right?
Sorry, Chai.
That's okay. It's karma for giving my cousin a black eye at my other cousin's bar mitzvah when we were younger. We were dancing on the dance floor, and Emily was there as well. And oh god, this is just memory lane, but it's too funny not to talk about. We were down memory lane, and I was like, I'm a dancing spaz. Like, I don't have any rhythm. Well, now I do, but you've taken my spit class, I've rhythm. But no, I was like, it's going like this and that, and I was the dancing spaz. And my poor cousin, this is my middle cousin's bar mitzvah. So Naomi, Benjamin, and Tamar are my three first cousins. So they're my mom's sister's kids that live in Toronto now. But when it was Benjamin's bar mitzvah, I believe, so that would have
no, it was your brother's bar mitzvah.
Was it Zach's bar mitzvah? Really?
Zach's bar mitzvah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no, because I'm talking about you. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. But this was actually, this was Ben.
I hit someone twice.
Yeah, I did. This is Benji's bar mitzvah. I have a thing with hitting people and being a spaz and just doing my own thing. No, I remember elbow checking my poor cousin Naomi in the eye, giving her a black eye.
Yes.
Her black eye. You're not like she actually did get.
She got a black eye. She went into the basement, and like I think my aunt or my mom like went and took care of her, and she was so pissed at me. So thank you for not holding a grudge against me.
Oh, that's so good.
The second, okay, now I got three, but these are really important, good memories. The second is when we were at my brother's bar mitzvah, and we turned our backyard into a tented venue, and the DJ was playing and stuff, and I remember like Celebrate was playing, celebrate good times, come on, like that song was playing, and I remember we were all dancing, and I had a glow stick, and I was weaving it around, and this is one of the great moments. I'm glad that Emily's father, my Uncle Leo, always had the major camera, and he was always filming every moment. And we had the footage. I don't know if we have it anymore, but we did have the footage for a long. Oh my god! Okay, got it. We got to find it. So, so I'm waving this glow stick around, and I throw it up, and it drops. I pick it up, I throw it up, and it comes out of my hand again, and it goes up, and I'm like turning around, and so at this rate, I'm like 9 or 10, and it wings up and hits someone in the head.
It was?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So the person that it hit was actually I'm not going to get the shorthand relation correctly, but it was my uncle Avihu, it was his sister's husband. So his, what is that, brother-in-law?
Yeah.
So it was my uncle's brother-in-law, and he's he looks like a potato, not in a negative way, but he literally looks like a potato. He's super short, and his face is so wrinkly and and I swear to God, and so he's just putzing around like a little penguin that can't walk, and then boom, it's
amazing footage. The glow stick.
Amazing footage.
It was a glow stick, I think.
It was a glow stick.
Hit him in the head. It's so funny.
It was
so good.
It was literally of not being a funny kid and being the most awkward. That was my claim to fame and up the popularity chart in our family at that point. So I took pride in that. Yeah,
hilarious.
And the last one, which you can speak to, because this was something very pivotal in your life, was your bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
Okay. So previous to, okay, so it was her, speaking of it, it was her bat mitzvah party, but at her bat mitzvah reception, and I remember this, and so my mother was kind of surprised to hear that I was gay, because she said to me, well, don't you remember at Emily's bat mitzvah, we were in the bathroom and you were with me and you said you wanted to make the vagina your friend?
Sorry, what? Sorry.
That's not gay enough.
And I woke up. Just kidding. What?
Yeah, I know. Apparently I said that, and I do remember saying that, but I was just being a little shit just to be funny, and she actually thought that I was being serious, which I realize now, Mom, I wasn't serious.
Nope.
No.
That is so good.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
know.
were hilarious at my bar mitzvah. You were on the we definitely have footage of that. That's available. That's readily available.
Oh my
You were
God.
on stage singing and dancing and being such a ham. It was so funny.
See
And
that.
you were fat. You were like a fat kid then.
Yeah, I was fat. I was 150 pounds.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I was
and
5'2".
Wow.
really really anxious, and I had braces and was chewing gum and like wondering if everyone was having a good time. I mean, I don't think bat mitzvahs are fun or bar mitzvahs are fun for the people that are having them. I think it's for everyone else.
No, I hated mine.
Yeah, totally. Wait, there is something really funny that I think you probably know this, but my mom would be mad probably if I was sharing it, but I'm gonna share it anyway. I think we've talked about it. But do you remember remember my grandma Frances? Like,
Yes.
So at the ceremony, you know the part where you like throw out candy? She didn't know who you were, I don't think, at that point, because she was an old woman and didn't know who everyone was. And there was a moment where you like ran out, like everyone like runs up to get the candy, and she just goes like too loud because she was kind of deaf. She just goes, "Look, dear, the fat boy's getting all the candy."
Oh,
Really? I love her so much. That stupid
Incredible. Isn't that incredible? I mean, I think that she never wanted me to say it because it was hurtful, but I think we're fine now.
We're so fine now. That is fucking gold. That
Isn't
is
that gold?
gold. That is totally golden. You fat bitch. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, take this award. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you to all McDonald's fries. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Every drive-through, every Monopoly sticker, like everything. Thank you so much.
Well,
But-
you had such a your life. What a transformation you had in your life. I mean,
true.
how like health and wellness is such a, not now, for years and years it's been that way, but I remember when you were first like enduring, or you know, in the throes of that transition, it was quite remarkable to witness from, you know, the outside and be like, oh wow, what a, just like such a young person like turning their life around is such a, yeah, so inspiring.
Well, thank you. And and again, I don't know if there's more to expand or elaborate on that, but if there is, feel welcome to share. Not in boosting my ego, but I'm curious because it's not common to have someone know you from such an age and to see that transformation. I can count only on one hand how many people I could say that actually have known me more than just casually, but intimately, and seen that transformation, because I might not know certain things that were observed, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, you know, this obviously, like after your brother died, you just, how old were you when he died?
I was 12.
You were 12, right?
Wow.
So just getting to see the way that you, as such a young person, like digested that, processed that, and then based on elements of that experience, like shaped your life in a different way. And you know, obviously, like shedding a lot of weight, just the sheer like nature of that at such a young age, I think is like so wow, that's like not something you see very often. So it was clear that like you were I had never really known someone who was so young and so like empowered, like self-empowered, which is really cool. And just rare. So that's just remained to be you, which is just so beautiful.
Absolutely. 12 years old. I mean, that is such a pivotal time of transition, or I don't know how you want to call that, but like just from not that you're becoming an adult, because I don't understand that whole 13 at, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, like what the fuck? Like you don't like becoming a man or a woman, like no. But that, I actually didn't realize that that's kind of when your transition or transformation started at such a young age. That's incredible.
It started. It honestly really started at like 11, which is when Zach got sick. In full honesty, that's when it started. And I remember, not everyone knows this, but I remember when I was thinking about trying to lose weight. I tried to lose weight when I was 9 or 10, actually. I went to kids programs for overweight youth that were having trouble with self-esteem issues. And I remember going through a couple things, and that's where I actually took my first spin class. And I think that actually is a little bit of a blueprint that was subconscious that got me to teach spin and and now I have to start teaching again. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to start teaching again, but I need to. And Emily's taken my spin class, so she very well knows. Thank you. That was fun, actually, by the way. Thank you for your energy. So fun. Thank you. And it was like a real spin class, not a bullshit like Soul Cycle spin class. Sorry, Soul Cycle, not sorry. But I remember the whole the experience of going through, and it's funny I'm turning to the side now because like I'm reflecting, I'm thinking, like that's a nonverbal cue when you're thinking about it. Okay, look at the camera. But no, I remember that when I was going through those transitions, how traumatizing it was. And it was one of those things where I just knew, the brain gives you a synapse, for lack of better terms, of like 7 seconds, I think I've read about in psychology, where when your amygdala is triggered by pain and trauma, you have a split second to decide, are you going to thrive or are you going to plateau? Are you going to go into denial or are you going to actually make something happen? And I didn't think for a second. And I knew that at the time too, which is even more interesting being so young. And so I said, no, I'm making something happen. And so that's where that light came up. And so one of those moments that happened is that I used to do running and track and field because I had no coordination. Track and field was my lifesaver. Running was my lifesaver before I ran into yoga. And so I remember walking to McDonald's in Kerrisdale, because that was about a 10-minute walk, and I went and got like a supersized quarter-pounder with fries and Coke, and I was eating it for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, I think, and all of a sudden my organs started to shut down. My kidneys started to get affected, my lungs started to freak out, my entire gut started to twist and wrench in a way that was so visceral that I almost felt like I had to clutch my heart because I felt like I was having a heart attack. And I was only, Zach had just passed away. So I would have been like around 12, but not 13. And that's when I knew I need to do something and I need to change this now, because I did try to lose weight when I was 10 or 11 and I lost 10 pounds or something. And then I would, gain it back. So that's when I was there. When you lose something that's so close to you and you realize it's not just a Game Boy, it's not a cell phone, it's not a book, it's not something you can replace, you realize quickly how dispensable the human body can be, and that your life is so short that you need to make something happen because you only have one physical body, at least, even if you might get reincarnated as a unicorn or as a yoga mat or as an eyeball. I have no fucking clue. Right. So I think that self-empowerment piece that Emily was speaking to definitely was driven from that. And I also have to give contribution to both Emily's and my grandmother and all that stuff as well, because you get that self-empowerment from your family. You get that from your epigenetic trauma of the Holocaust. That resilience is within you. And you have a choice if you want to take advantage of using it or not. And so I think I just happen to know that I used it.
Yeah.
And still use it.
Yeah, I think that's really wise. I totally agree.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot on the show too. Like both, I guess all three of us come from Holocaust survivors. And just, the stuff, yes, I mean, that trauma gets passed down, but so does the resilience and so does the strength. And so, it's what do you choose? And, here you hit the nail on the head when you're like, there is that time, or I like to call it like the space between action and reaction.
It's funny. It's funny that you said that, actually, because I wanted to know if he's holdable. Can you introduce us to Zoli? Because I've never met him. I've only seen him on Instagram.
He's the best. So that was actually his his walker. He's going on
Really?
an outside play group, so he just left. That was why.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's fine.
But we will FaceTime, and I will show you him. He's
oh my god, absolutely.
Oh
my god, so adorable. And also, as we wrap up, I wanted to give you the camera to just talk about what you're doing right now, what you want our listeners and followers to know, and what you want your community to know, because we're gonna promote the shit out of all of our guests, including family, of course. So I'm turning that over to you for the next few minutes.
Great. Let's see. I guess my most recent, the project that I just pressed submit on before this meeting is a short film that we made in September that's really reflective of the times. It's called The Dog Friend, and it's about a woman who wishes for her dog to become her boyfriend and then endures the myriad consequences when her wish comes true. And I actually wrote it before I had my dog, so it's weirdly there's a lot of synchronicity there. In any event, it's a dark comedy that will be in the festival circuit. So I can't really, a lot of the things that like I would promote, I can't really promote because it depends on where it premieres. So hopefully we'll have a cool premiere for that. And then the other thing is actually this is cool. Watch out for this. The project that was in Tribeca Film Festival in 2020 is the proof of concept for the television series that I'm working on, that I'm developing, that I'm pitching right now to various executive producers and taking it out to market. But that standalone, the proof of concept, is going to have an online release on January 27th.
wow.
Yes. So that is something to watch out for, which is going to be really fun. It's going to be released on a platform called Film Shortage.
Okay.
And I will be, sharing that with people. Yeah.
Well, once you do have that or the link, we'll edit the show notes and put it
Amazing.
so people can see it. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. And then my song, This Love, is coming out on January 15th on Spotify and all the other platforms.
Wow.
So that's an M and the Fates song that we recorded in quarantine remotely, it sounds really good for what it is. Actually, it sounds just really good, period. I'm very proud of it. And let's see. Those are my main things. A lot of the other work is sort of like not showable yet.
Yeah.
So those are my big plugs. And then just like follow me if you want some like, lighthearted and deep, but usually jokey content at M. Kron.
Yes, queen. I am so proud.
My Instagram is like ridiculous. And
so good.
I think that it's good to use your social media as a platform that makes you engage with what's important, but also is a way to laugh at yourself and everything else that's going on. So that's where I am doing my social media life.
Amazing. Yeah. And I can say to that too, Emily has an incredible social media that she's been growing over the last couple of years, and definitely tons of humor. And I'm so proud to call you my family, to call you my cousin, to call you my sister. And you are, of course, always welcome here. So if not that I want anything in your side of the town to go south, but if for some reason you need to shift over here, you have a home, you have so many family members that will take care of you. And I think Netflix is opening up a head office in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
I think they're talking about it, at least they're in Netflix Canada. Don't hold me to that, but there's definitely a lot of production stuff and definitely a lot of leads for you here too. I can be completely confident in that too.
Cool. Ooh, love it.
I would not.
You guys, it's really honestly such a joy to chat with you.
Aw, thank you.
Good. I'm so glad that you had the ability to come on, and I know that we wanted you on earlier. I'm so thankful that, in fact, I'm happy you're on now, because now we have a little bit more of an establishment, not to any of our other guests, but it's just nice to have a family member that I can actually feel like, hey, we have a little bit of something to kind of base and to spotlight, to gaslight you a little bit more, which is great.
Yeah.
So come back anytime if you want to share anything, you want to update us on stuff when things are more established or in the public eye that you're permitted to speak about. Please always let me know, and we'll be in touch, of course, offline and everything as well. But yeah, thank you. I feel so grateful to be able to have your support with this and with my life. You have been such a pivotal force in my life, and you always will be every day. So
thank you. You're the best. Thank you.
Mwah.
It was so nice to meet you, and
Likewise.
sounds so redundant, but stay safe. And stay well, stay sane. I think that's the big one now. Stay sane.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Keep practicing whatever self-care you practice. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And stay blue.
Stay blue, baby. Stay blue.
Blue ain't sad, girl.
Blue is bad. Blue is bad. I love
Awesome. Okay, Emma, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, lovely.
Bye, guys.
Bye.